Shabbat Shalom. For once again, this is the day that Yah has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. And as always, we enter into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. And for some reason, just got a good feeling. Looked over at my brother Sean, and he got a big smile on his face. Looked at his wife, she got a big smile on her face, and made me feel good. So we thank the Most High by saying, Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All thanks, praises, and glory to our King. And we always bless him and bless his name before we pray by saying, Baruch et Yahweh. Baruch et Yahweh HaMevarach. Baruch atah Yahweh HaMevarach le'alam vayet. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech ha'alam. Esher b'kar b'nu makol hamayim v'natan lanu ha'torah. Baruch atah Yahweh notan ha'torah. That is to say, blessed be Yahweh. Blessed be Yahweh, the blessed one. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the blessed one for all eternity. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim, King of the universe, who selected us from all the peoples and gave us your Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, giver of the Torah. To our King, provider, healer, sustainer, deliverer, and our Savior, our Elohim. To the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Israel. Master, once again, we are thy witnesses, and we come this day before you with bowed head and humble hearts. We ask you and we beg you, O King, that you would forgive us of our sins. Forgive us of unrighteousness, that our prayers be not hindered this morning, but that you would lend ear to our supplications, O King, and that you would turn not a deaf ear to our cries. But, Master, we ask that you would bend knee, Master, and hear what we have to say this morning, for we are thy people and the sheep of thy pasture. And there's no other name that we can call on but the name of Yah. For we stretch our hand to thee, O King, for there's no other help that we know. We thank you, Master, for this day that you have made. For it is your Sabbath day, for you said that we shall do all of our work in 6 days. And on the seventh day we shall rest. And that if we rest as you rested, that we shall be in a covenant with you. And also you said that we shall have a solemn assembly. So we assemble today, Master, in obedience, out of love and out of fear of your name. We ask, O King, that you will look upon those that may be sick in their bodies or may be too far to travel to this assembly, but they may be gathered with us online today, that you would also count them in the assembly of gathering today, and that you would look upon us, Master, with favor, and that we are attempting to be obedient to thy word. For we know that thy word is true. And whose report do you believe? We believe in thy report, O King. We believe in thus saith Yahweh. And we listen to no other voice, O King. Master, we thank you for this assembly that you have given to us to assemble in. We thank you for the leadership of this congregation. We ask that you would continue to provide for them, their families, that you would keep them in health and in peace, O King. Master, we ask that you would look upon all those that are here that are gathered, and that you would bless us as an assembly and bless us individually, for you know all of our needs and you know all of our wants. We thank you, Master, that you have provided for us, this life. You have given us reasonable health in our bodies and strength in our limbs. You also given us food to sustain us, clothing to cover our nakedness, and you've also given us shelter to shield us from the elements, O King. And we thank you for that you have provided all that we need. We thank you for the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you have taken us out of idolatry, and that you have shown us your truth, O King. We thank you, Master, that you have opened up our understanding, Master, that we know that you are Yah, you are our El, and there is no other power besides you. Master, we thank you that you have kept our children as they have traversed throughout the land all week long, but you have brought them home safely, and you have kept them, O King. Master, we just ask that you would bless this city. Bless all the leaders of this city, Master, for you said that our welfare will be caught up in the city's welfare wherever you have driven us to in this exile. Master, we just ask that you would continue to bless us and keep us until we can meet in this assembly again. This is our prayer.
Amen. We're going to read today from the Helium, that's Psalms 119, beginning at verse number 97. Join with me, would you, as we read. How I love your Torah. I meditate on it all day. Let me pause there for a minute. I've asked many people about this particular writing. I've asked them, do you know what the king is talking about? And if you're reading this phrase here, you have to ask yourself, what is he talking about that he meditates on all day? And where do I find those? Because this whole 119 Psalms is a repetition of reminding us how significant and how important the Torah, or the laws and the rulings of the Most High, are. So we go back and we start at verse 97 again. He says, how I love your Torah. How many in here love the Most High's Torah? Come on. I am wiser than my foes, because your mitzvot are mine forever. I have more understanding than all my teachers, because I meditate on your instruction. I understand more than my elders, because I keep your precepts. I keep my feet from every evil way in order to observe your word. I don't turn away from your rulings, because you have instructed me. How sweet to my tongue is your promise, truly sweeter than honey in my mouth. From your precepts I gain understanding. This is why I hate every false way. Your word is a lamp for my foot and a light to my path. Let's stop there for a minute. How many times did you hear this verse quoted over across the street in Christianity? Your word is, so now we have to ask ourselves a question. What word? What word are you saying is a lamp to your foot? What word is it? I have sworn an oath and confirmed it, that I may observe your righteous rulings. I am very much distressed. Yahweh, give me life in keeping with your word. Please accept my mouth's voluntary offerings, Yahweh, and teach me your rulings. I am continually taking my life in my hands, yet I haven't forgotten your Torah. Now, this particular verse here in 1:9 is the king referencing the many times that he's gone out to war, the many times that he's been confronted with things that could have taken his life, so he makes this particular phrase. The wicked have set a trap for me, yet I haven't strayed from your precepts. I take your instructions as a permanent heritage, because it is the joy of my heart. I resolve to obey your laws forever at every step. Now, this should be a confession of every Hebrew individual. This should be our confession. I resolve to obey your laws forever at every step. I hate double-minded people, but I love your Torah. Hate's a very strong word. Hate is a very strong word. I want to be Hebraic, but I want to be Christian too. I hate double-minded people. It's not me talking. I'm just making an observation. It's either one or the other. You are my hiding place and shield. I put my hope in your word. Leave me alone, you evildoers, so that I can keep my Elohim's mitzvot. Uphold me as you promised, and I will live. Don't disappoint me in my hope. Support me, and I will be saved, always putting my attention on your laws. You reject all who stray from your laws, for what they deceive themselves with is false. You discard the wicked of the earth like slag. This is my way. I love your instructions. My body trembles for fear of you. Your rulings make me afraid. I think we've read 3 stanzas. And we read 3 stanzas there? I think we read 3 stanzas, yeah. 3? Okay. We'll stop the reading there. You may be seated. As we each week read through this particular writing of our opulent King David, he's constantly reminding us how important and how significant the mitzvot, the Torah, the precepts, the statutes that the Most High has given to us, and how important they are for us to follow and to meditate upon day and night. In my thinking, I have been meditating up on these, and I have been thinking, as you all know, I'm constantly thinking about my people. My people are very important to me. As I get older, they're more important to me. I've come to ask a question in my mind that I'm trying to put into writing on paper. What about my people? Out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word is established, and my mind has been triggered by a discussion that I had with one of the young ambassadors, because his heart is also troubled concerning our people. Question becomes one in my mind in terms of those of us who make our boast as being Hebrew Israel. What are we doing? What are we doing? You say, well, what are you talking about, Maury? What are we doing? We gather each week with our assemblies wherever we are in the world, and we pontificate to a handful or a small group of people in light of the fact that Hebrew Israel is massive. And while they're massive, and yet they don't know in this exile who they are, the question arises in my mind once again, what are we doing? We have a mission. We have a mission that's written in text, that our responsibility is to teach Torah to the nations. And as I think about that, and I think about how splintered and how diverse in our function as Hebrew people collectively wherever we are in these United States and the world, the differences that appear, that we are so fragile. Fragile in what extent? Well, I don't agree with what this moray said, and I don't agree with what they do, and so we move on and go sit at home, or we find someone that agrees with our thought process in a streaming platform across wherever they are, and we separate from the local community. And then I ask myself, what are we doing? How is the nation of Hebrew Israel in exile ever going to come together in unity when our Father, Yahweh, is a spirit of unification and unity? He is Echad, he is one. Our Father is not confused on any level of thought. He's given us his laws, he's given us his rules. And he realizes that in this exile, there are things that we all try to know, but we can't 100% say that we are positively sure about the things that we claim we know. He's given us his spirit of grace to be able to cover the fact that a lot of the mitzvot and the laws that he's given us, and in this exile, we cannot do in totality, yet and still the law is still there. He's given us grace, realizing that we're subject to the governments, the magistrates, the ways of the people in this exile. We all arrive at certain convictions, and our convictions separate us from each other on different levels and points. So when it comes to us trying to make a point to gather Hebrew Israel in a unified way, we have to find some way to explain away the separateness, our differences of understanding, and why it is the way it is. We can never unify. We can never unify if we're not in union with each other, or if we're not able to have a spirit of humility and understand that, you know what? We're living in this exile, and you know what it is? It's still just practice. I want to be able to experience in the days that I have left. I want to be able to experience the effort that the calling and the mission of First Tabernacle Fellowship has been more than just what's here in Sacramento and what's here in just this room. In this whole city and county of Sacramento, there are a multiplicity of different individuals who claim their Hebraicness. And some of them are Hebriskins and they don't want to listen. They don't want to get it. And that's okay. But I hear out of the pages of text, I hear the prophet Ezekiel, and I hear the Most High having a conversation of the rattling of the bones. And the bones are rattling. How do we know that the bones are rattling? How do we know? We know that the bones are rattling because we're coming in contact with people who are questioning and want to know, who never experienced and don't have any sense of understanding that we're talking to, and they're wondering, and those bones are rattling. And as the bones in the valley rattled, the question was, can these bones hear? The word back was only, you know, Most High. What shall I do to the bones? The prophet asked. The Most High said, prophesy to the bones. We're at a point in time in the history of the world, in the history of Hebrew Israel, where the bones need to hear the words of Yahweh. Those words need to come out of pure hearts. Those words need to come out of hearts that are filled with humility, that are willing to agree on the point that we as a body have a charge. And we can only meet that charge if we're unified. The dysfunctionality and the misunification of Hebrew Israel, I believe, is still part of the aspect that's delaying our redemption. None of us, not Moray Appleton, not Moray Holman, not Moray Beckham, not the Morays across this nation, can stand up and say that on every point they are absolutely sure that this is the way it's supposed to be. We have walked in ways that we thought were right, and they were wrong. And there's only going to be one time that we're all going to be right. There's only going to be one time that we're all going to be right, and that's when we get in the land. That's the only time that we're going to be right. Well, what do we do? What do we do to answer and begin to function in our divine purpose as a remnant of Hebrew Israel? Is there a need for this house to be the only house in Hebrew Israel that's right? Is your house the only house in Hebrew Israel that's deemed to be right? Is there a need for me to always be the one that you need to hear. You need to hear me. Why can't we hear each other? Why can't we hear each other? And why can't we reason together? And why can't we get in all our getting? Why can't we just get an understanding and come to a common ground that says it's greater for me to humble myself for the unification of the body than to be stubborn and hard-headed and going in my own way? What's greater? After all, it's still just practice. The Most High realizes where we are and what we're under. What's his expectation? His expectation is that we give every ruling, every teaching, every precept, and every statute our best honest effort. That's all he asked. He knows we're already convicted. If you've broken one, you have broken them all. We're all still convicted. But the conviction passes under the mantle of grace. Because what he's looking at the significant importance of your heart. What is the motive of your heart? The motive of everyone's heart in this house. I know. Your motive is right. Your convictions are right. Maybe in some cases, we need to look at our humility. I'm concerned about my people. I'm concerned about being able to reach my people. I'm not sure how to do it. The Most High said at his word, out of the multitude of you don't know the rest of that? Out of the multitude of counsel, there is safety. Today, in our thought in this house, is the beginning of the week of Feast of Trumpets. 8 days from now, Feast of Weeks, Feast of Weeks. Thank you. 8 days from now, we will convene a holy convocation to close it out. Some of you may choose not to attend. I want to take that 8th day when we come together and make it a profitable meeting. I want to have a sounding board. I'd like to have an open line of discussion. to answer the question, what are we doing? How can we do it better? And how can we start working on a plan to reach our people? The bones are rattling. They need someone to prophesy to them. The prophets need to be clear in what they're saying. The prophets need to hear from the Most High. We need to know how to go about doing that. If it is that you don't want to gather because the majority of us are honoring the day, you don't have to. You can honor it on the day that you choose. Once again, all the Most High is asking for us to make the best effort that we all have to be able to honor His feast days. If you think it's one day and I think it's another, that's okay. But for the unified effort of the body and the house to try to come up with some vision, some idea, how do we go about bringing this Torah to those who want to hear it and want to teach it? Through what processes, through what mechanisms, whether it be social media, whether it be whatever. We need to take those ideas and we need to throw them up on the board and let's see where it goes, because my thought process is bigger than FTF. Hebrew Israel is much bigger than FTF. Hebrew Israel is much bigger than Atlanta. While those of the house of us come to for the reason of perhaps closing out the Feast of Tabernacles, you can join with us. You don't have to declare it's your day of acknowledging it. Let's come together. Let's figure out some ideas. Let's communicate. I don't want to have a separate day. We're all gathered here for one day. I don't want to have to call a meeting in the middle of the week. I don't want to have to call a separate meeting to do this. We're going to be here. I don't want to have to keep you after Torah service on congregation on the Sabbath day. Y'all got things you want to do. For the general purpose of trying to meet a mandate that the Most High has given us. As I read through these Psalms in 19, my heart is struck with passion and compassion. For me, I'm going to speak for me. My people and the concern for my people are greater than my hang-ups. They're greater than that. Whatever I need to do while I am still breathing, and while I am the more of a house, and we have whatever few people we have, if I had 2 or 3, I'd be saying the same thing. Doesn't matter. You know why? The bones are rattling, and they need somebody to prophesy to them. I hear the Most High speaking in Ezekiel to the prophet. He calls him the Son of Man. Sure. He says, I'm going to give you something that I want you to eat the whole roll. I want you to ingest it. The prophet said it was like honey to him. It was sweet to his bosom, and it tasted good in his mouth. Till the Most High told him, he says, now I want you to take what I've given you, and I want you to take it and speak to Israel. And at that point, the prophet said the words then became bitter in his stomach. Ezekiel knew that speaking to Hebrew Israel, even as I'm speaking to this house today, he knew Israel was not going to hear him. He knew that. And he went to the Most High, and he said to the Most High, Israel is not going to hear me. And the Most High said, well, son, that's okay. They don't listen to me either. I would hope, and I pray, that you hear the sincerity of my heart as I moved, not by the inspiration of Holman. I'm not moved by the inspiration of Holman. I am not moved by the inspiration. I am not moved. I am not moved by my own inspiration as I talk to you this morning. I want you to hear that I am not moved by my own inspiration as I talk to you this morning. I'm moved by the inspiration of the Ruach. What makes FTF different? My father, my grandfather, raised me with a motto. Said, it's a poor dog who don't wag his own tail. I believe, not being boisterous, I believe that the knowledge, the wisdom, and understanding that this house has over the whole scheme of things lines up with the teachings of the Most High. The Most High gave Israel a mandate to teach Torah to the nations. He didn't give us the mandate to just teach it to Hebrew Israel. Israel's job is to teach Torah to the nations. And then he's given mitzvot, and he's given us instructions how the nations interact with Hebrew Israel. Not separated from them. How they interact with us. We can't regulate that. We can't govern that. We're scared. We're afraid. I'm afraid to let them people in with us because they might pervert us, and our girls, our women will go marry them. Well, that's already happened. It's already happening. So are we saying that those people are eternally lost? Come on, people. The Most High said in his word, it is not his desire. What? Can you finish it? Can you finish that one for me? It's not my desire that what? That any man. I find no pleasure in the what? Can you finish that one for me? In the destruction of the wicked. I find no pleasure in that. I'm making a cry to you today out of the sincerity of my heart, and I'm meaning no slam on anybody. I'm not trying to slam anybody. I am not. I'm giving you But I hear the Spirit saying to me in my sleep, when I wake up, when I lie down, the resonating words in my ear are consistent. What about my people? As I take my seat, this building cost us just the rent, not the utilities, not anything else that goes on. This building cost us $5,500 a month. Why do you think we're still here? Look around. Look around. Look around. Why do you think we're still here? Why do you think we still have this house? Many of you have had homes that were large. Huh? And you looked around and you said, why are we living in this big house? We need to downsize. I've told the Most High, I need to downsize. And he's been silent. Silent. Sean, Lakeisha, Brother Charles, who've been with me over the years, y'all know, when the Most High has moved on me and told me it's time to move. The last time he told me it was time to move, I didn't. I was very comfortable in a very nice place. I was comfortable. He told me, you need to move. I didn't pay attention to him. He caused the whole building to flood. And then he told me, I told you a year ago you needed to move. I didn't. When we were on 1908 Old Street, with Charles, he told me it was time to move. We found a place, 801 Broadway, which was over 4,000 square feet. He told me there it was time to move. I didn't move, and he put us in a building that was 1,600 square feet on Stockton Boulevard. We were on Stockton Boulevard for 7 years. He told me in the 5th year it's time to move. It took 2 years to find some place. When I couldn't find any place, and I'd done all that I could to find some place, I couldn't find no place, he directed us to this place. It was a mess. It was a mess. The kitchen area that we have had a big wall painted on it, had Methuselah, the Greek goddess with all the snakes coming out the head, was painted on the back wall back there. This place in here was a mess. That room right there in the corner was a mess. I told the Most High, I don't have the money to fix this place. I'm talking about, you see, the Most High talks to me, and I hear him, and I obey him. I said, I can't fix this place. I can show you the pictures. The Most High let the owner of this building, take this place and transition it into this. And didn't cost me a penny out of my pocket. And then gave me the building for 3 months at just 50% more than what I was paying on Stockton Boulevard. And right now, we shouldn't be here. Because he can get more per square foot for this house right now than what we're paying. And in the last 5 or 6 years, he has not raised the rent. Why are we still here? Why are we still here? Why are we still here? If an owner can humble himself and be led by the Most High to let his people stay in a place that they shouldn't even be in, and place it up on the hearts of you who have contributed enough money each month so that we can stay here. You don't have to. But I know it's the move of the Most High that's working on you. We're not here for no reason. So I have to ask us a question once again. What are we doing? Are we satisfying our own initiative? Is it personal? Or is it a collective vision that encompasses the whole body of Hebrew Israel, wherever she is? And you know what? We ought to be drilling into the ground that we live in. We live in Sacramento County. We ought to be drilling into this ground. We ought to be pulling people in and telling them where to go. How do we do it? Vanessa, I don't know. Beckham, I don't know. Sean, I don't know. But I hear him telling me, call the people together and let's hear their ideas, because as I speak to you, I'll also speak to them. And we can collectively come up with ways to strategically begin to start looking for our people. Let me close with these words. The Most High said, I will look for Israel myself. Did he not say that? Did he not say that? Did he not say that? How do you think he's going to do that? How do you think he's going to do that? How do you think he's going to do that? He's going to do it through those of us who have a pure understanding of his teaching and his ways that we can impart into people. We need to reach pastors. We need to reach teachers. I dare say that there's not one of you in this house that haven't encountered somebody where you have had a deep in conversation about Torah. I guarantee that you have. And they're still out there floundering because they ask us questions. Some of the questions that we ask, they ask us, we have to explain them away. And they're not stupid. They've already lived in falsity. They can understand. They can see. Are you feeling what? I'm going to sit down. As I sit down, I'm going to sing this song to you. Do you see what I see? Do you hear what I hear? Because the Most High's Torah has given me wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And guess what? I can see clearly now. I hear Sean. I hear you, Beckham. I hear you both. I hear both of you. But in the midst of the sound, I hear the Most High say to me, because I am the leader of the house, I hear him say to me, Holman, Benjamin, what about my people? Moray Appleton.
One, two. We all right? All right. We stand in awe of words of wisdom from Moray. He's right. Is he wrong? He's right. I appreciate where the Most High is getting ready to take us. Right? We used to say we came from a mighty long way. Right? What's that song they sang? What's the song they sang? They said, we come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me what the road would be easy. I don't believe you brought me this far to leave me. Nobody told me this road would be easy. Because I don't believe you brought me this far to leave me. It's powerful. Because you now have a connection with the Most High. And you know those words of that song mean more to you now. So, with that being said, to the beneficent, the one we call Eye Ashe Eye, the one we call El Shaddai, the creator of all things, now get this, from nothing, who created everything from nothing. I thank him for allowing me to be here today with you on this holy convocation. I want to start out by saying first to the dignitaries that are in the room, I got to get through my little liturgy real quick. To Moray Beacom, to Moray Beverly, to Brother Charles, to you gentlemen, Shabbat Shalom. To our head Moray, Robert B. Holman Jr., Shabbat Shalom to you, sir. For those of you that are joining us by way of the stream, Shabbat Shalom to you. For those descendants that are here and that are not with us here today, again, hopefully you stood on the shoulders of giants and you will be able to see further. As what the Moray talked about, the rattling of the bones. We need to be able to put meat on them bones. What's the meat? What we're stuttering. The things, the ways of the Most High. What did they say a long time ago? Well, inquiring minds want to know. Right? So, to all of you that are watching by way of the stream, Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Now, wow, we do this every week and y'all just look at me like I'm crazy. We observe mitzvot in here, don't we? We observe mitzvot in here, don't we? We do the same thing every single week. Why are you not on your feet? Where is it at? Where does it come from? I'm quoting. Does anybody know where that comes from? Vayikra, yeah, or Leviticus chapter what? Chapter number 19, verse what? 32 says what? You are to stand with those who have gray hair and show respect to the old. So turn to the person that's closest to you that has gray hair. Look them in the eye. What you tell me? To the wise, okay. Turn to them and say, Shabbat Shalom. All right. Now, to those of you that are, y'all can sit down. For those of you that are in the room with me today in our studio audience, you ready to go to the stratosphere? Yeah. You ready to go subterranean? Yeah. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We are here, back at it. One more again, just to tell you like a TIE is, live and direct from FTF here in beautiful Sacramento, California. If you are joining me here today, I want to take a couple minutes and go over a couple things real quick. Now, today, for those of us that are here, we are celebrating the beginning of Sukkoth, which is the Feast of Weeks. It's a festival that we're supposed to have. And those of you that are not going to actually observe it at this particular time, your Sukkoth is coming up. So it's good to go over this. So for even those, they'll be ready and prepared. Okay? So let's go over Sukkoth. All right? What can you tell me about Sukkoth? You know what? I was hoping nobody was going to end up saying that it was going to tell me everything else about Sukkoth except for that. That was going to be my extra credit question that got answered up front, okay? Yes, what did he say? The Moray said in the back, this is one of these Moedims that you have to do in the land, and it's done with two other ones. It's part of these trifectae that you have to be in Yerushalayim for. What are the other two? Pesach, or Feast of Matzah, and what else? Shavuot is the other one that you got to be present for. The men have to be present for that. So, right off the bat, Hebrews, man, I got a segue right here. It's right there. Maybe I'll just deal with it right after I do this. Can we do this in totality? No. Why? Because we are in exile. And that means what? Part of it is that your men are are supposed to appear in Yerushalayim 3 times a year. This is one of those times that they have to appear. We are not there, okay? Hasn't been reestablished. And what else has to, come on, tell me else, what else happens? I don't want to give it away. What are the mitzvot on Sukkoth? Got to live in booths. That's part of it. What else? Not the same person. Keep answering. Everybody back there looking at Moray Beacom. Huh? What's the answer? Somebody else? Not show up empty-handed. What else? Yeah, we're remembering that we came out of captivity and did what? lived in sukkahs or booths. What else? Anything else you can remember? Anything else you can remember? It's 8 days. It's an 8-day festival. So it's really convenient. It starts on the Shabbat and will end on the Shabbat. You will already be here to start and end it. You're supposed to have what on the first day? Set apart assembly, convocation. What are you supposed to have on the last day? The same thing. So we're going to have a funky good time both days, okay? Which happen to fall on Shabbats. Anything else you want to tell me? You're missing one. This is where an area of contention is. Which one are you missing? When is it? It's in the what month? 7th month on what day? 15th day of the month. I heard somebody say the 22nd. 15th day of the month, okay? So that basically is all of the mitzvot on it, but we're going to read it so you get it in your spirit, okay? So you have it at the front of your dubla oblongata. Okay? Sukkoth, which is simply the Feast of Booths, all right? Happens in the 7th month, and it is the last feast of our cycle. So the next feast will be what? We'll start Pesach, and the next one will be right after that is Matzah, right? Then it says what? The day after the Shabbat, which is Sunday. So that's kind of a telltale right there. When you're reading what's going on with Shavuot, it says the day after. You're going to do your Feast of Matzah for 7 days, and it says the day after the of rest. What's the day after the day of rest? The day of rest is what day? It's a Shabbat. It says the day after that day. You are to start counting 7 weeks till you get to Shavuot. Okay? So, with that being said, you can also reference in Devarim chapter number 16, verses 16, where the Moreh said, hey, you're supposed to meet 3 times during the year. We're going to read that particular portion, all right? Symbolizes coming out of the house of bondage from Mizraim, where our ancestors were slaves. I heard my wife singing this song this week, and I'm going to sing it right now, right? Remember this song? We were little kids, knee-high as the grasshoppers. We used to sing this all the time. I know in the Baptist church we used to sing this. See, you know what? Father Abraham had many sons, and many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. Wait a minute. Were they right? So, what did it say? So let's just, the Lord, right arm, left foot, stand up, sit down. That, you remember that song, right? You said, we ain't never sing that in the Pentecostal church. You Baptists was messed up. That's the first song that I've stumped my Moreh on. He was back there looking at me like, what song is that? That ain't an old Dr. Watts song. That ain't a Cleveland, James Cleveland song. We used to sing that all the time at Vacation Bible School. Father Abraham had many sons. Oh, my goodness. You got another one? Which one? You know that one. All right. Let's go to Devarim chapter number 16 and 16. We'll start there. I'm going to do a couple of verses here. I just want to let you see where Sukkoth shows up so you have some reference for it, and we're going to read the mitzvot on it, okay? We're there. He is on top of me. I love it. 16 and 16 in Deuteronomy, or what? Devarim, right? Okay. All right. Let's do this. It says how many times? 3 times. 4? 3. 5? 3. No. None at all? No, 3. Okay, good. 3 times a year. How many? Some? All your men are to appear in the presence of Eye Asher Eye, your El, in the place which he chooses, which is where? Yerushalayim, okay. At the festival of, like I told you, there's 3 times. We're going to name all 3 of them. We said the Feast of Matzah, which was correct. What's the next one? The Feast of Shavuot, right? And at the festival of Sukkoth, okay? They are not to show up before Yahweh empty-handed, but every man is to give what he can in accordance with the blessing Eye Asher Eye Yoel has given you. That's in Devarim chapter number 16, verses 16 through 17. I want to jump over to now. Anytime that when we talk about Moedims, this should be your go-to chapter and verse, or at least chapter, when we talk about when things happen. When someone asks you, when is Pesach? When is Matzah? When is Shavuot? When is Sukkoth? When is the Feast of Trumpets? Okay? You might have heard of Feast of Trumpets being Rosh Hashanah. Okay? It's called Feast of Trumpets. All of the timing of all these particular Moedims happened in this chapter. It's Vayikra chapter number 23. My Moray was already on top of me. He knew exactly where I was going. Chapter number 23, verses 33 through 43. Now, we're not going to read all of this. We may. Vayikra, chapter number 23, verses 33 through 43. Okay. It says, I'm going to wait. That's all right. 23, 33 through 43. That's all right. This is the Shabbat. We got all daytime. We got time today. We got a festival. We got to make a joyous occasion, right? All of our festivals are kicking it sessions. All right, we almost there. I want the people at home to see it. All right. Whew. I thank the Most High. Okay, all right, there we go. 33, it says, Eye Asher Eye said to Moshe, tell the people of whom? Tell the people of the what? Of the Goyim? No, tell the people of the Gentiles? Oh, that says Israel. Okay, I just wanted to make sure who we was talking about. That what? On the 15th day of this 7th month is the Feast of Sukkoth, 7 days. To Eye Asher Eye. On the first day, there is to be a what? Set apart convocation. You fulfilled that portion of it. It says, do not do any kind of ordinary work. You wouldn't have been doing any kind of ordinary work anyway, because why? It's a Shabbat. Okay? For 7 days, you are to bring an offering made by fire to Eye Asher Eye. On the what? 8th day, which is going to be the next Shabbat, you are to have a what? Set apart convocation, which you're already going to do by default because it's a Shabbat. And bring an offering made by fire to Eye Asher Eye. It is a day of public assembly. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. And there's that component there where it says, bring it to Eye Asher Eye. We know where that is. We have to bring it to what? The tabernacle. All right? We got to bring it to the entrance of the tabernacle, that offering. It says, these are the designated times of Eye Asher Eye that you are to proclaim as set apart convocations and bring an offering made by fire to Eye Asher Eye, a burnt offering, a grain offering, a sacrifice, and drink offerings, each on its own day. So every day of the Feast of Sukkoth, something is supposed to be brought. Now that thing that's going to be brought on each individual day is spelled out in another another book, which is in Bad Midbar. We ain't got there yet. It says, what did I leave off here? It says burnt offerings, grain offerings, and a sacrifice and drink offering each on its day. Besides the Shabbats of Eye Asher Eye, your gifts, all your vows, and your voluntary offerings that you give to Eye Asher Eye. So if you got stuff that you're supposed to be bringing that day, that's in addition to it. But on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered the produce of the land, you are to observe the festival of Eye Asher Eye, 7 days. The first day is to be a complete rest, and on the 8th day is to be complete rest. On the first day, you are to take the choice fruit, palm fronds, thick branches and river willows, and celebrate in the presence of Eye Asher Eye. Now, we could have did that. We don't have those, but that's a part of it, okay? And that's when we had, in times past, we had those fronds and that particular fruit, and we brought it in here. We even, I think, in one year, built a sukkah over here in the corner. You are to observe it as a feast to Eye Asher Eye 7 days in the year. This is what? A permanent regulation. When? Through all generation after generation. Keep it in the 7th month. Okay? You are to live in a sukkah, that is a booth, for 7 days. Every citizen of Israel is to live in a sukkah. This is the portion of it that we can do in exile, but there may be limitations for some of you. But again, this is practice, all right? The intent here is that we're observing it, okay, as much as we can. So, again, I said last week, for those of you that can, I know I set up a tent in my backyard. I'm going to live in that for the next 7 days. Some of you may be in an apartment situation and you can't do that. Okay, you're constrained by your constraints. But again, in totality for this one to work, you have to be where? In the land. Now, I want to take a sidebar real quick, and I'm going to say something that's going to be controversial. And I know that many of you Hebrews in here are probably going to come up to me and say, don't you ever get on stage and say that again. Okay? Can we keep all the commandments? So is that Christian declaration true? See, they look at it differently, though. They look at it like, I can't keep any of them. But I want to reconstruct that framework of mind when you're saying you can't keep them. You can't keep them in totality. You can keep them. You can't keep them in totality. Right? That's the word you're missing. And without that word in there, that means something totally different for you. If I can't keep it, then why am I doing it? No, you can keep it, you just can't do it in its finality, the way the Most High intended. And there's a reason why that is. Why is that? You're not in the land. There is a logical reason for that. Your pastors and your teachers know that, but they won't give you the back half of that. Okay? You can keep them, but not in their totality. So when someone that's a Christian and says that to you, you need to help them finish the rest of that. You can't keep them in totality. I agree with you, but you need to finish it. Okay? Now, hopefully y'all don't come for me after I got done saying that. Okay? Just want to make sure to help you when that issue does come up from somebody. Well, we can't keep them. Yes, you can. Just not in totality. Well, what's that mean? I'm glad you asked. Let me take you over here. Boom, 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 boom. You just rattle off like an AK-47, them verses. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay? You walk right in to a Venus flytrap when you ask, starting down this road on what sin is. I can't even define what sin is without your boy telling you, oh boy, okay, so I'm already over across the street. I'm already doing my dissertation already for you pastors. Anyway, that was the end where I wanted to stop there. I just want to draw your attention to Bad Midbar. We're not going to go there. Chapter number 29, you can write this down. Bad Midbar, which is the book of Numbers, chapter number 29, verses 12 through 39 will give you what you're supposed to bring on each individual day. So it's a festival for 7 days. There's something that has to be brought on every single day. A sacrifice has to be brought on those days. And that particular chapter tells you what specifically on each day is what's to be brought. Okay? So it's not in its total all together in Vayikra 23. You're going to have to go to Vayikra 23 and you're going to have to go over to Bad Midbar or Numbers chapter number 29 to get the specifics. But again, this is in the land specificity here when you're in this particular chapter. Okay? I want to draw your attention to two other places. Ezra chapter number 3. verses 4 through 6 is where Sukkoth shows up. During the time of the prophet, when they had got back into the land. So it was during the time of the Feast of Tabernacles for the Israelites who had returned to rebuild the temple and gathered to celebrate under the leadership of Yahushua and Zerubbabel in Ezra chapter number 3. That's what he's talking about in there. So they're getting back into the land and they're observing the Feast of Sukkoth. It's evidence that your ancestors did it when they were in the land. Also, another reference is Nehemiah chapter number 8, verses 13 through 18, where again, they stood at the time of Sukkoth and heard the Torah being read to them. Okay? That's another place that Sukkoth shows up. Where's a third place that Sukkoth shows up? Stay on the stage. I forgot my drinking water over. Where's another place that Sukkoth shows up? Jesus. Let's go and talk about him. Glad you said that. Jesus actually was participating in Sukkoth. He showed up late, but he participated in a mitzvah. You don't believe me, do you? Oh, you don't believe a word I'm saying? Oh, my gosh. I think y'all baiting me into something, aren't y'all? Let's go on over to John chapter 7, verses 1 through 9. We did this before, so some of you may know this little dissertation that we did. John chapter 1. Oh, what I love these. You know these little wristbands that people had, and they got them on the back of their car. It said WWJD. What would Jesus do? Jesus would have kept the commandments. Wait a minute. I only can do what my Father tells me to do. What does your Father tell you to do? He said, keep the commandments. Obey them. So he would have had no choice other than to at least try to attempt to do some of them. But we know he's just a man, if he existed at all. And he would have fallen down several times, which you can see. Let's read it. It says, after this, Yeshua traveled from where? Around the Gileel? What? Intentionally avoiding Yehuda, which is going to be your southern tribe at the time, because the Yehudians were out to kill him. That should not be read that the Jews were trying to kill him. The Yehudians, that's a group of people in the south. Okay? That's a set of tribes that have been in the south. We got the northern kingdom and then we got the southern kingdom. So the people in the southern kingdom in Yerushalayim were out to kill him. I wonder why. It says, but the festival of what? Sukkoth in Yehuda was near. So his brother said to him, leave here and go into Yehuda like he's supposed to do. Because why? All of your men are supposed to show up for the Feast of Sukkoth. Where? In Yerushalayim. So they would have been going back to Yerushalayim to at least to observe it, so that your Talmudim can see the miracles you do. For no one who wants to become known acts in secret. That is a pointed statement. Come and turn your microphone on. Finish the thought. Yep.
That should be a pointed statement, because when you read the Hebrew text, the Most High himself always signs whatever he does to allow people to know who he is and that he did it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the Most High doesn't, as a matter of fact, the Most High tells us he doesn't do anything in secret.
No, doesn't do anything
He
in
reveals
secret.
it to his prophets first.
That's exactly right.
So the question here in this text is, why are you hiding?
Why are you hiding?
Why are you doing something in secret? Well, the first reason why you're hiding is because you're scared.
Mm-hmm.
Because the southern kingdom of Yehuda, where the temple happens to reside, those people want to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they want to kill you?
Yes.
Because they are individuals who know Torah law, and you came to them and you said to them, before Abraham was, I am. They said, no, 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 no. That can't be, they can't be true. And then you begin to also tell us that except we eat your flesh and drink your blood, we have no life in you.
Right. There
And
you
we
go.
all
Right
went
there.
away. And so you're acting in the context of the teachings of the Most High in Devarim chapter 13 that says, if a prophet or a person who dreams and visions comes to you and leads you away from me, you're not to follow that dreamer or prophet. You are to put him to death. So all of this is in play as to why they wanted to kill him, and he was a man. Now you understand something. A question you have to ask: can you kill the opulent spirit?
No.
Can the absolute all-existing one die?
No.
So the absolute all-existing one would not be afraid of some people that was out to try to kill him, because he would know you can't do that.
Exactly. 100%. Yes, sir. While he was saying that, I thought of another place. It says, it hit me. It says, leave here and go into Yehuda. This is what his Talmud is saying. It says, so that your Talmud can see your miracles that you do. In 4, it says, for no one who wants to become known acts in secret. I want to read something to you. It says, here is how the birth of Yeshua, the Messiah, took place. When his mother Miriam was engaged to Joseph before they were married, she was found to be pregnant from the Ruach HaKodesh. Her husband to be, Joseph, was a man who did what was right. So he made plans to break the engagement quietly, rather to put her to public shame. If you have God in your stomach, why are we hiding? Isn't that something that everybody should know about? The Most High has come and is here on earth with his people, and you're hiding on purpose. Why? It goes along with the precedent that the Moreh had said earlier, because there are mitzvot that are there that are going to, number one, get him killed. Because the Most High is not going to come in through the earth and break his own mitzvot. Okay? It's not going to happen. All right. I want to finish this out when we over here in John, because somebody might say, okay, it was approaching. Sukkoth was coming. But how do you know Yeshua observed it? Okay, let's keep doing what they said in the old church, and what y'all is on the PAW, the Bible way. What y'all used to say, just read on. Okay, let's keep reading on. It says in 5, his brother spoke this way because they had not put their trust in him. 6, Yeshua said to them, this is what Yeshua is saying. Listen to him. He said, my time has not come yet, or yet come. But for you, any time is right. The world can't hate you, but it does hate me, because I keep telling it how wicked its ways are. What is the barometer for that? The world is wicked because it is not in alignment with the Most High's commandments. So he would have been telling them how wicked they are. You go up to the festival. As for me, I am not going to this festival now, because the right time for me has not come yet. Having said this, he stayed in Galilee. After his brothers had gone up to the festival, he went up too. So, evidence here that Yeshua observed, or at least at a later date, which would have made him out of compliance from the mitzvot, because the mitzvot says what? You are to have a set-apart convocation with all your men on the first day. So he would have had to have been in attendance on the first day to fulfill the commandment. We have an example here where if he came to show you how to do it, he's doing a bad job of it, because he's not fulfilling the law. The law says you're supposed to be there on the first day, and clearly here it says you were not.
Because he is afraid. He says right there in the text, I'm not going because the right time for me has not come yet. What right time? See, the question is, what right time are you talking about? The right time for me to die has not come yet. But my Hebraic question would be, why are you worried about dying? You're God.
Right. Fully God, in the flesh.
Can he die?
No.
Can you kill him?
Right. You can't kill him.
Can he be afraid?
No.
So, what if I'm one of his boys? I would ask him, "What are you talking about?"
Exactly. Confusion all up and down. All right? That is where Sukkoth shows up. So you guys just remember, ladies and gentlemen, the mitzvos that we've read here, what it means. We lived in booths. Now, I should have go over that as well. When you lived in the desert for 40 some odd years, you lived in these booths. The Most High took care of you the whole entire time, right? That's what this is symbolizing, okay? That was Sukkoth. Any questions? Excellent. All right. Nothing in the chat. I got to keep checking the chat with y'all. I don't want to keep the chat out. I keep forgetting that every single week. Chat's good? Okay, good. He's a heretic. Sit him down. No. Let's go over Devarim chapter number 23 and 24. And these are, again, mitzvot. We're just going to go over these real quick. The majority of these, again, fall under that category of not being able to do them in totality because we are not in the land. A lot of them are going to apply to that today, okay? So we're going to go through this pretty quick. Not really quick, but you're going to be made aware of them as we move forward. Learning the ways of the Most High. 23 and verse 1. Is everybody ready? We ready? We there? All right, I'm looking for the bobbleheads. We there? We there? Okay, we good. 23, verse 1, it says, Amen. Matter of fact, I need you to do me a favor. After I get done reading this first verse, I need you to go to the King James Version. Okay? We're going to do something here. It says, a man is not to take his father's wife, thus violating his father's rights. Let's read it in the King James. Let's see what it says there. What does that say in the King James? It says, King James 23 and Devarim 23. No, go down. Okay, go up. These numbers are. There you go, right there. There it is, right there. A man shall not take his father's wife, nor uncover his father's bed. Now, it reads a little different on the way that I had it. It says here, matter of fact, man, I wish I had it. Is that the right translation? I need the old. There you go. I need the original. There you go. Let's stay there. That's the original translation I want. Because this King James actually does a better job than Stern or anybody else and actually with this particular text on where I want to go. Just bear with me. It says, a man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt. Okay? Now, or in other words, uncover his father's nakedness. That's another way to look at that. Okay? To uncover his father's nakedness. All right? Now, does that sound familiar? Where does it sound familiar from? What are we pointing to? What is it? Where does that sound familiar? You shall not uncover your father's nakedness. No. It's not with him. No. Is it? Is it Noach? Is it Noach? Is he right? Yes, he is. He's 100% right. What about Noach? All right, Noach had 3 sons, right? Who were the sons? Shem, Ham, and Yafet. Okay? I want to check that translation one more time. That is the King James Version. I need my phone. Where's my phone at? Where's my phone? Hold on. Where is this at? Let me get it here on mine real quick. KJV. That's it. Lift up his father's skirt. Okay. All right. Now, Noach. Let's jump over. Remember this. Uncover his father's nakedness. Right? A man shall not take his father's wife and uncover his father's bed or uncover his father's nakedness. All right? Right? That is where we are. We're starting there. King James Version, let's go to Vayikra, or what? Leviticus chapter number 18 and 8. We're going back to King James. Leviticus chapter 18, verses 8. Now, we're starting with a mitzvot right out in Devarim that talks about, that specifically says this. It says, a man is not to take his father's wife, thus violating his father's rights. I'm going to tie these together because that is a duplication of a previous mitzvot that we've heard already, and it shows up in Vayikra chapter number 18 and 8. What does it say? The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shalt thou not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. So let me explain it this way. You shall not uncover your wife, right? It says, what does it say? Or your father's nakedness, the back part right there. No, go down, up. There you go, right there. The nakedness of your father's wife. Stop. The nakedness of your father's wife. I'm married. I have a wife. If she's naked, then that's my nakedness. It's my nakedness. So he's saying, the nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. You are not to uncover my wife. My sons are not to uncover my wife. Because what does it say? It says, it's thy father's nakedness. Okay? That's what it's called. My father's, if I have a dad, I can't see my mom naked. I can't uncover her because that's my father's nakedness. That's what it's called, thy father's nakedness. Let's go over. That's why I asked you, does this sound familiar? Because this happens with Noach. All right, what happens with Noach? Moray, please don't answer this. Don't answer this. What happens with Noach? Matter of fact, you don't answer this either. You answer too much today. What happens with Noach? Okay, so there's this story. Go ahead. What? Yeah. Okay, so that's what I was getting at right there. So the story is this. And I'm going to give you the rest of it because that's necessarily not the case at all. We have been taught. Let's just read it. Let's just go read it. Let's go on over to Bereshit or Genesis chapter 9, verse 22. That's where that is. We're going to stay in KJV with this. We're going to go to Genesis chapter number 9, verse 22 in the King James. Like I said, the King James does a very good job of this. Stern and everybody else don't. They kind of messed this up a little bit. But it's astonishing enough, King James does a good job. It says, what does it say there? It says, and Ham, the father of the Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father. What did he see? He saw his mother naked and told his two brethren. I gave the answer away already. His two brethren without. And Shem and Japhet took a garment and laid it upon their shoulders and went backwards. Why? They didn't want to see. All right? So, and laid it upon their shoulders and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. What is the nakedness of their father? His wife. And their faces went backwards and, keep going up, and they saw, faces went up, and they saw not their father's nakedness. Yes, sir.
This is what I was talking about earlier when I said to you all, it's a poor dog who won't wag his own tail. Do you hear the clarity of the explanation that the Moreh is given in terms of that nakedness? Do you know what the majority of people believe when they read that text?
That's what I'm getting at right there. Come on.
They believe that they're looking at Noah's nakedness.
Right.
But by text, it's not Noah's nakedness they're looking at. They're looking at the nakedness of his wife, which is their mother.
Right.
Do you know that there's not many people that understand that?
Mm.
There are not many Hebrew people that understand that.
Yeah.
And you read it and don't understand what you're reading. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about the knowledge and the wisdom and understanding that comes out of this house.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. It's like having sex with your mom. Mm-hmm. Come on, in the microphone. They ain't going to hear that. That need to come out of your mouth. You explain that eloquently. Mm-hmm. One more time. One more time. From the top.
I was just saying that in Vayikra 18 or Leviticus 18 and 19 it says, and do not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness in her monthly separation of uncleanliness. So we know that we have instructions not to have relations with a woman during her monthly uncleanliness, which the scriptures describe as uncovering her nakedness.
Mm-hmm.
To even go further with what you were saying is that when you look upon your father and you see his nakedness, it's like having you uncover your mother's nakedness, which is like having sexual relations with your own mother. If you look at your mother and uncover her nakedness, it's like having sexual relations with your own father.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Thank you. You know what's happening here? What are we doing? All we're doing is applying the mitzvot to the particular situation that's there. We went right to Vayikra, where all the mitzvot are, and we applied the mitzvot to the particular situation so we have clarity as to why in the world they're doing what they're doing. They're doing a mitzvot. But it's not taught from that particular standpoint because when you remove the mitzvot from the text, you suck all the blood out of it. So you just have some dead corpse, body of work. No mitzvot, no life. At the end of the day, we're applying the mitzvot to the text, okay? Thank you for those comments. Let's jump back into the CJB. Let's get back over into 23 and 2 is where we're going to pick up. And these are going to go quick. I don't intend to have you up here too much, have you here too much longer. We need to be eating, right? We got a festival in the back we got to get to. All right, let's get to it. We read that first part starting at verse 2. It says, a man with crushed or damaged private parts, or crushed testicles, may not enter the assembly of Eye Ashe Eye. A mamzer may not, anybody know what a mamzer is? A mamzer, okay. A mamzer is a person, and I'm going to read you the definition right here. I don't want to butcher it up. It says in Hebrew, a mamzer is a child born from a forbidden union. Specifically, oh boy. I didn't get 2 seconds in there before I put your boy back on the chopping block again. You can go to Matthew chapter 1. Ain't nothing about that assembly of Joseph and the Holy Spirit and Miriam actually a part of a mitzvah. That's forbidden, right? For what? A man to go ahead and and impregnate a virgin that's engaged, you're breaking a mitzvot in Devarim or Deuteronomy chapter number 2, verse 23. Okay, but all right, let's keep going. In Hebrew, a mamzer is a child born from a forbidden union, specifically an incestuous relationship or a marriage not sanctioned by Hebrew commandments. But you want me to say that one more time? That's Google. A mamzer in Hebrew is a child born from a forbidden union, specifically an incestuous relationship or a marriage not sanctioned by Hebrew commandments, such as when a woman remarries without a proper Hebrew divorce, which is a get, a child born to a married Hebrew woman, which she would have been because she's betrothed to Joseph already, a child born to a married Hebrew woman and a man other than her husband, even if the husband is not Hebrew, is considered a mamzer. The status of a mamzer has generational impact, with the term and restrictions applying to the descendants for 10 generations, affecting their ability to marry within the community. That is the definition that I looked up off of Google. You can go Google that yourself. That is a mamzer. So it says back here, it says, a mamzer may not enter the assembly of Eye Asher Eye, nor may his descendants down to the 10th generation enter the assembly of Eye Asher Eye. Just read, I told somebody this week, I said, just read the mitzvos. Would y'all stop with this stuff that y'all, all the spirituality y'all putting on this text, and just read it from front to back. 3 or 4, it says, no Ammoni or Moavi may enter the assembly of Eye Asher Eye, nor may any of his descendants down to the 10th generation ever enter the assembly of Eye Asher Eye, because they did not supply you with food and water when you were on the road after leaving Mizraim, and because they hired Bil'am. What did Bil'am do? It's right there in the text if you read it a little further. Bil'am and this other guy try to curse him, son of Beor, from Petor in Amram Ramim, I think that's how you said that, excuse me if I pronounced it wrong, to put a curse on you. But Eye Asher Eye Yoel would not listen to Bil'am. Rather, Eye Asher Eye Yoel turned a curse into a blessing for you. Because Eye Asher Eye, what? So Yah so loved the world that he gave his, It says here who he loves. He says, because Eye Asher Eye loved you. So you are to never seek their peace or well-being as long as you live. This has to do with being in the land. You can't do this particular mitzvah in totality outside the land. This is land specific, okay? It says, but you are not to detest the Edomite because he is your brother. Why is he your brother? He's a twin. They both come from somebody. Who? Eber. They're all descendants from Eber, which are all Hebrews. So we designate ourselves as Hebrew Israel. Right? Because Yaakov is a twin to who? Esau. Okay? So they're Hebrews too. But we're being specific by saying Hebrew Israel. All right? So this descendant on the other side of the twin side, descending up, they're still Hebrews. So it says, but you are not to detest the Edomite because he is your brother, and you are not to detest the Egyptian because you lived as a foreigner in his land. The third generation of children born to them may enter the assembly of Eye Asher Eye. Where's the assembly of Eye Asher Eye? In the land. Where are you? In exile. Can you keep this? No, you can't. All right. But is it still in play? Absolutely. Okay. When you enter the camp at war with your enemies, we're talking about war now, and we're talking about when we're out to war and when they're camped out. All right. You are to guard yourself against anything bad. If there is a man among you who is unclean of a nocturnal emission, I'm pretty sure most men know what that is. Okay? He is not to go outside the camp. He is not to enter the camp. When evening arrives, he is to bathe himself in water. That means so he's going to be unclean all day, right? If he had a nocturnal emission at night, he's going to be unclean until all the daytime, through morning, all the daytime until it gets to evening. He's got to bathe himself, right? Okay? It says, when evening arrives, he is to bathe himself in water, and after sunset, he may enter the camp. Also, you are to have an area outside the camp to use as a latrine or a toilet. All right, this is for y'all that ain't been to Africa. This is more African style right here. It says, you must include a trowel with your equipment, and when you relieve yourselves, you are to dig a hole first and afterwards and cover your excrement. Okay? So you're outside the camp. You have had a nocturnal emission. You're unclean. You can't be in there. This is why David was so big on, I don't let my guys go out and be unclean at all. Okay? So you have a nocturnal emission. You're part of the camp and you're part of the war. You're unclean. You got to get out of the camp. And while you're out there, you got to use the bathroom. You got to have some equipment to go ahead and dig yourself a hole and do your business and cover it up. Yes, sir.
Do you realize that David's warriors, the king's warriors, had to know these mitzvot?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If they're at war, and they misunderstanding any one of these mitzvot, they put the whole
your team is compromised.
The whole thing is in jeopardy of being demised in the war because they're unclean and unright before the Most High.
Yep. 100%. Serious. Detail.
Wow.
Most High is not playing. 15. It says, for Eye Asher Eye, your El moves about in your camp. Looks like he's with y'all, isn't he? Uh-oh. What is that song? What is the song y'all sing at Christmas time? I know you do Christmas, right? Y'all don't do Christmas? No. He watches little kids when they're sleeping. I know when you're sleeping. I know when you're awake. I know if you've been good or bad, so be good for goodness sake. Because Eye Asher knows. There you go. Moves about in your camp to rescue you and hand over your enemies to you. Therefore, your camp must be set apart. Eye Asher should not see anything indecent among you, or he will turn away from you. That's what the Moreh just got done saying. Just reiterated it as a part of the mitzvot. It says, if a slave has escaped from his master and taken refuge with you, you are not to hand him back to his master. Let me jump back here. Can we do the last mitzvot? No, we're not at war. Okay? But if we were, you have to observe it. If a refugee comes and decides he wants to seek asylum with you, you are not to hand him back to his master. Allow him to stay with you in whichever place suits him best among your settlements. Do not mistreat him. It says, no woman of Israel is to engage in ritual prostitution, and no man of Israel is to engage in ritual homosexual prostitution. That's clear. All right. Nothing earned through heterosexual or homosexual prostitution is to be brought into the house of Eye Asher Eye, your El, in fulfillment of any vow. For both of these are abhorrent to Eye Asher Eye, your El. I think that speaks for itself. Can you keep this commandment? Part of it you can. But can you keep this commandment in its totality? No. Why? Because it says in the fulfillment of a vow, you're to bring these things to whom? To the house of Eye Asher Eye. The house of Eye Asher Eye is in the land. Okay? Is it in play? Yes. Okay. But we can't fulfill it outside of the land, or in totality outside of the land. You are not to lend. Okay, here we go. You can quote this mitzvot for all your family members and say, let me borrow $25. Let me borrow $50. I need some gas money. Can you lend me? See, the Christian church ain't going to come over and tell you this. This is a good one. They said, you believe in the Bible? You want $100 out of me? You want a couple $1,000 out of me? Do you believe in the Bible? Well, let's go to a verse that I want to take you to. Okay, here we go. It says, you are not to lend at interest to your brother. If I lend you money, I can't put interest on it. Okay. No matter whether the loan is of money, food, or anything else that can earn interest. To an outsider, you may lend at interest, but to your brother, you are not to lend at interest, so that Eye Asher Eye will prosper you in everything you set out to do in the land. Okay, so in totality, this is specific to the land. You are entering in order to take possession of it. Can you do part of this? So the next time you want to ask me for some money, I'm going to say, are you a Hebrew? Then the interest on this is going to be 30%. And I have every right to back that up because you are not Hebrew Israel. You do not identify as Hebrew Israel. Okay? And you ain't going to get religion just all of a sudden and be like, I'm Hebrew Israel right now. No. That's not how that works. You made your declaration before that. I can lend to you at interest. But for Hebrew brethren, we are not to put interest on any loans that we make. Okay? When you make a vow to Eye Asher Eye, you are not to delay in fulfilling it. For Eye Asher Eye, your El was certainly demanded of you. And your failure to do so will be your sin. It says, if you choose not to make a vow at all, that will not be a sin for you. But if a vow passes your lips, you must take care to perform it in according to what you voluntarily vowed to Eye Asher Eye your El, what you promised in words spoken aloud. Be mindful of what you say. You will be held accountable for it. Loud and clear, right? It says, when you enter your neighbor's vineyard. Matter of fact, let's go back. I've been asking the same question the whole entire time. Can we keep that mitzvot in exile? Yes. Can you keep it in totality in exile? Yes. Okay? It says, when you enter your neighbor's vineyard, you may eat enough grapes to satisfy your appetite, but you are not to put any in your basket. When you enter your neighbor's field of growing grain, you may pluck ears with your hand, but you are not to pluck a sickle to your neighbor's grain. I love the neighborhood that we live in because on every single plot that we have, there is a person with a fruit tree. That's a part of the plot, the plan, development plan for the whole entire community. And people go on other people's property and they will pick stuff off of their property. Now, we do follow protocol and courtesy and say, hey, can I have something off of your tree? But it's interesting, nobody shows up with like a basket full of stuff and starts picking all your stuff off your tree. But that's what this is talking about. You got a vineyard, which I'm pretty sure none of you have. You do your harvesting, so forth and so forth. Someone comes onto your property, they can pick something and eat it. But they just can't show up with a barrel filling their whole entire pockets up off of what's in your land. Can we keep this in exile? Yes. Yeah, you could keep this in exile. If you could I apply this to something else? I possibly could. But in specificity, this is talking about a vineyard and produce. All right, 24. Let's get through this. Suppose a man marries a woman and consummates the marriage. So what do you have to have in order to have a marriage? Something has to get consummated, right? He said, yeah. Yes, sir. All right. But later finds her displeasing. This, I'm going to tell you what. Matthew chapter 19 is the first part of Matthew chapter 19 is this mitzvot right here. Because they asked Jesus, they said, Moses allowed us to divorce for any reason. What say you? Okay? And then he goes into this whole entire diatribe about, one coming to with one man. You read it for yourself if you like to, if you decide to. But just know that it's in the realm of this mitzvot here. It said, but he finds her displeasing. Let's stay Hebraic. Because he has found her offensive in some respect. How does a man find, in text, if I was going to say this, and she's offensive to me because she's violating some mitzvot. She can be, let me take that back. Let me take what I just said back. That would be my first thing I'd be looking for. Because it says here specifically, consummates the marriage but finds her displeasing. It doesn't say, give a stipulation as to why. It says, because he has found her offensive in some respect. So that could be a grand scope of things. But I know what I'd be looking for, firstly, is whether or not she's living her life in accordance with the mitzvot of the Most High. She's getting out of bounds. And there's a lot of things that are in there. It says he writes her a divorce document, gives it to her, and sends her away from his house. This is where we get in Hebrew that women cannot bring divorces. The man gives the divorce. Okay? And it's called a get. All right? It says, she leaves his house, goes and becomes another man's wife. Come on, Tyler Perry, you can make something out of this. It says, but the second husband dislikes her and writes her a get, which is the divorce document, gives it to her and sends her away from his house. Or the second husband whom she married dies. I'm married, I give my wife a get, she goes and marries somebody else. Even if the guy dies or he divorces her, we're going to see what she can't do. It says, in such case, her first husband who sent her away may not take her again as a wife. You've been divorced. I divorced you. You went to somebody else. They divorced you. You came back to me. I can't marry her. All right? It says, because she is now defiled, and it would be detestable to Eya Asher Eya, and you are not to bring about sin in the land of Eya Asher Eya is giving you as an inheritance. I would literally take this whole entire piece, and this would be a discussion afterwards, because I would really want to hone in to why is she now detestable in the sight of the Most High. I have some speculations about that, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that. It says, if a man has recently married his wife, he is not to be subjected or subject to military service. He is to be free of external obligations and left at home for how many years? 1 year, to make his new wife happy. Okay? I just got married. I cannot be in the service of Hebrew Israel as some military force for at least 1 year, because I got to go home and make my wife happy. Okay? It says, no one may take a mill or even an upper millstone as collateral for a loan, because that would be taking as collateral the debtor's very means of subsistence. We don't take the very thing that you need in order to make money as collateral. That's all that's talking about. And they're using a millstone in this particular example. Can you keep that mitzvot? Yes, you can. Okay. Can you keep the first one I talked about, which was if she gets divorced and she goes to somebody else and then he divorces her and she comes back, can we keep that? Absolutely. Yes, we can. It says, if a man kidnaps any of his brothers, kidnapping, all right? Kidnaps any of his fellow members of the community of Israel and makes him a slave or sells him. You are so broke that you stealing folk. We ain't stealing jewelry. We ain't stealing a bust down watch. We stealing people, all right? And you're selling them. And it says the kidnapper must what? Die. In this way you will put an end to such wickedness among you. 8, when there is an outbreak of Sara'at, be careful to observe and do just what the Kohanim who are leaving him teach you. Take care to do as I ordered them. Remember that Yael did to Miriam on the road after you left Mitzrayim. And that whole entire story, she and Aharon got on their high horse about this what? This black lady. Where was she from? Ethiopia. Yeah. Zipporah, the black lady that Moses married. I should say that the melanated woman that Moses married, because they were all melanated. It says, you can find that in Numbers, chapter number 12, verses 1 through 11, if you want to go back and get that. 10, when you make any kind of loan to your neighbor, you are not to enter his house to take his collateral. you must stand outside, and the borrower will bring the collateral outside to you. If he is poor, you are not to go to bed with what he has gave as collateral in your possession. Rather, you must restore the pledged item at sunset. Then he is to go to sleep wearing his garment and bless you. This will be an upright deed of yours before Eye Asher Eye. Can you keep that? Yes, you can. All right. Matter of fact, this other one, that would be capital punishment. You be in for be subject to American laws here, but this one about kidnapping your brother and you got to die, we can't keep that where we are, okay? Let's go to 14. You are not to exploit a hired worker who is poor and needy, whether one of your brothers is a foreigner living in your land, in your towns. You are to pay him his wages when? Not 2 weeks from now, not on Friday when the week's over with. When are you supposed to get paid? Every day. It says you are to pay him his wages the day he earns them. Before when? That's right. Them checks are going to be hitting the bank before that sunset, right? It says, for the poor and looks forward to being paid. Otherwise, he will cry out against you to Eye Asher Eye, and it will be your sin. How many of you are business owners? You're business owners. Use your hand. Both of your hands should have went up. That means, as a Hebrew, if you have people that are working for you, you're supposed to pay them every day. Am I out of compliance? Is that not what the text says? Okay, all right. We got to do some adjustments if we got folk, or at least get some capital going so we can say, you know what? My business is going to get blessed because I'm following the mitzvot of the Most High. Right? Okay. Fathers. Oh, here we go. Write this down. Here's the thunder for this whole entire. If you don't remember nothing else that I talked about today, write this down. Okay? This is going to be a pop quiz on this after we get over with. All right? Devarim, chapter number 24, verse 16. Deuteronomy, chapter number 24, verse 16. Fathers are not to be executed for the children, nor the children to be executed for the fathers. Every person will be executed for his own sin. Nobody is saving you. Okay? No one can die for you. You have to atone for your own sin. The moment he would have said to a bunch of Hebrews, I'm getting ready to do a human sacrifice for your sin, we should have threw that out right there and said, nobody can die for my sins except for me. I can only atone for my own sin, not somebody else. So here's another place that we've given an example of where Yeshua doesn't fulfill the mitzvot. He's teaching against it. Okay? Let's finish this out. I'm almost done. Thank you for being patient with me. Matter of fact, can we keep that mitzvah in exile? For the ones that we can keep, yeah. It's in play, yeah. But more importantly is the concept that we just talked about. Somebody come talking to you about, I'm going to die for you, for your sins. Okay, no, that's not true. I thought you were Yahweh. Are you changing your mind? I got a question for you. Matter of fact, write this one down too. Then you can say, take them over to Numbers. Chapter number, 23 and 19. Bad Midbar, chapter number 23 and 19, where it says, I am not a man. I'm not an alien that landed from the planet Negatoris either. I am not a man that I should lie or change my mind. When I set out to do something, I'm going to do it. So clearly we see here that apparently Yahweh is changing his mind. And that can't be. All right? This is what I'm talking about. We're going to try next week when the Moray talked about us getting together and doing some of this brainstorming thing that we're going to talk about. Think about all the things that your Christian buddies are coming up with in rebuttal to where you're at. Eternal life. What's sin? All these types of things that keep them rooted into the matrix. Okay? Let's go on. Let's get through this. I just said I was going to get through this, and I went off and did something else. You are not to deprive the foreigner or orphan of justice, which is his due. And you are not to take a widow's clothing as collateral for a loan. Rather, remember that you were a slave in Mitzrayim, and Yahweh redeemed you from there. That is why I am ordering you to do this. Can you keep that? Yes, you can. Absolutely in exile. 19, all the way through to the end. It says, when harvesting grain. Can you do this one? If you have a field, then this would apply to you. But for most of us in this room, it does not. It says, if you forgot a sheaf of grain there, you are not to go back and get it. It will remain there for the foreigner, the orphan, and the widow, so that Yahweh will bless you in all the work you do. When you beat the olive tree, you are not to go back over the branches again. The olives that were left will be for the foreigner, the orphan, and the widow. When you gather your grapes from your vineyard, you are not to return and pick. Come on. You see a pattern here? After you've picked them, you can't go back. Leave it for the foreigner, the orphan, and the widow. Okay? Hebrew Israel takes care of these individuals, thus through this particular mitzvah and many other ones. It says, and pick grapes a second time. What is left will be for whom? The foreigner, the orphan, and the widow. Last verse. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim. That is why I am ordering you to do this. Okay? Whew! We got through it. Any questions? As I get ready to take my seat. Okay. Excellent. All right. We're going to finish up our festival today. It's a beautiful time. We went over the mitzvot. We talked about some things. Yo, what you leaving with? I said there was a pop quiz. Come on. You can't answer and you can't answer. What is the verse that talks about, chapter and verse, where it says that only you can die for your own sins? What verse is that? Chapter and verse. 24 and what? 16. 24 and 16. No person can die for you or no person can atone for your sins except for you. 24 and 16. Put it in front of them and say, explain this to me then. Well, that's been done away with. See, now you're going to see the string of things that they're going to keep coming with. That's been done away with. Oh, has it been done away with? Who told you that? Oh, really? It's not been done away with? Well, how do you say it's not been done away with? Because your Jesus tells you that in order to get eternal life, you have to do them. Well, where is that? That's Matthew chapter number 19, verse 17, 18, somewhere in there. See how you start stringing these together? You're looking for these buzzwords that they come out with. And what we're going to try to do is put together some type of narrative that gives you an opportunity to say, hey, listen, look at these particular chapters and verses. Now, understand, it's not going to fall on pliable soil. There are people that I explain this to, Moray has explained this to, my wife has explained this to, y'all have explained this to, and they are just going to be Jesus till they die, period. I'm not starting over. This is what it's going to be. Okay. I don't have no problem with that. You clearly understand, I smoke, and there's a little label on the side that says from the Surgeon General, it says you could get cancer, but you still smoke, right? I have no sympathy for when you actually get some type of cancer off of that, because you knew. I ask that the Most High's will be done in your life at that particular point. It's not that I'm going to pray for you. I'm just going to pray that the Most High's will be done for you, whether that you die or whether you live. But I'm not going to go before the Most High and tell him, oh, deliver this person. They were a good person. No, that's not happening. You didn't follow the instructions and decided to go elsewhere knowing it. So I'm supposed to pray for you? I know people tell me that all the time. That's so cruel. No, it's not. You did that to yourself. And then you want to take no accountability at all for your actions. No, that's not how it works in Hebrew Israel. You called on the wrong Hebrew. I'm going to tell you that. You need to go call on your Christian buddies to come pray for you and do the habbas or whatever. Maybe they can get you a plot of land in heaven. Did you know that? Did y'all know that? I had my Moray doubled over in the podcast. There's some guy a pastor in Mexico that's selling plots of land in heaven for $100. You need to get up on this kind of real estate. You make a fortune. And I said, you know what? If you believe in that, I got these 3 magic beans over here I can sell you. Okay? Understand what we up against here. People are going to have all these types of arguments they're going to have with us, but we got to be ready to give them text and text and text that says, here, you examine it for yourself. He said, give me 10 of the magic beans. All right. Y'all stand. Matter of fact, don't you go nowhere. I know you walking. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't you go nowhere at all. All right. Before I transition, I want to do something real quick, okay? There's a young lady that's been with us for a little bit. She's a Hebraic woman, okay? She is going away from us. I want to make sure she back there on the wall. She know who she is. Jayla. Make sure you Hebrews today love on her. Today. Look her in the face and tell her something uplifting, some adoration. She's going to a state where there are Hebrews, and she will do exceedingly well. She knows the ways of the Most High, but we love her. She's been a part of this congregation, a part of this family. And as Hebrews, that's part of being Hebrews. You're peripatetic. You move around a lot. That's what we do. She's going to be blessed if she continues to what? Obey the mitzvot of the Most High. So when you see her, love on her. Look her in the eye and tell her something encouraging. Most High is with you. Okay? Before I do that. All right. We all good? Good? All right, good. Stand on your feet. Let me bless you. All right. Yivarekaka Yahweh ve'yishmareka. Yair Yahweh panav eleka v'chuneka yesa Yahweh panav eleka v'yasam leka shalom, which simply just means, in English, flip the slide. Okay. May Yahweh give me magic beans. No, it doesn't. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh what? Lift up his face to shine on who? You. And give who? You favor. May Yahweh lift up his face towards you and give you shalom. West Coast Hebrews, until next time.
Before you disengage and go places,